All right, welcome back, 49ers fans. So, we're going to continue on with our 8-part retrospective broken down into seasons. So, this will be season 2018, part 2. And I did want to add a little bit more detail into that season, who was playing for us, what our roster was like, because I felt that was pretty important. So, I've got a little bit more detail on that. So, we'll get started on that. For 2018, we had an interesting season. We had Jimmy G start off the season, play the first 3 games, and then got injured and was on IR for the rest of the season with a knee injury. He played the first 3, and then it was week 4 against the Chargers in which he injured his knee and then never came back for the rest of the season. So that was really tough. So those were our 3 quarterbacks, Mullins, Beathard, Garoppolo. Our running backs were Breida, Alfred Morris. We had Raheem Mostert, but he also got injured after week 9 or in week 9. And then for receiving, we had Kittle, Kendrick Bourne. We had Dante Pettis, Trent Taylor, Pierre Garçon, Marquise Goodwin, Richie James, Alfred Morris. So that's our receiving core. Obviously, we still had Kyle Juszczyk at this point as our fullback. And then in defense, we had Fred Warner, DeForest Buckner. Elijah Lee was our linebacker, so Warner and Lee were our linebackers. Our right defensive tackle was DeForest Buckner, and our right defensive end was Eric Armstead. Left defensive end, Solomon Thomas. Left defensive tackle, Earl Mitchell. Our DBs and safeties were Williams, Tart, DJ Reed, Exum. We also had Richard Sherman, I believe, at this point, and Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward was our safety. Where is Richard Sherman in here? I was sure he was in here. Yeah, he was our left cornerback. And then we had Akello Witherspoon as our right cornerback. So just as a reminder for who was on the team that year, thought that might add a little bit more detail. And then from that injury standpoint, as I mentioned, Jimmy G has been out, but we had a number of people out for significant portions of the season. Aaron Burbridge was out after week 1 with a hamstring. Jonathan Cooper missed the entire year with a knee injury. Kittle played pretty much the entire season. He was only questionable for 1 game, but played that game as well. Jerick McKinnon was out with the knee, and Kentavious Street was out with the knee. And then Dakota Watson, who was, let's have a look. Dakota Watson was one of our linebackers, and he was out he played in week against Oakland, so let's just have a quick look for that one. Looks like week 9, only played for 4 games and then went back out with the same calf injury, so obviously re-injured that. So another season riddled with injuries, and we'll also get into red zone performance once we get to the end of the spreadsheet. So we'll bring that up now, and we'll have a quick look, and we'll go through that as quickly as we can. So week 1 against the Vikings, lose that one, 24-16. We managed to get a field goal in the third, but not enough to hold the Vikings off. And you can see here I've added another column for field goals and touchdowns just to kind of track that ratio. So 3 field goals, 1 touchdown. In that particular game, our third down conversion was 5 of 13 attempts, so not great, and time of possession was 28 minutes. But, those 3 field goals and not being able to convert a couple of those into touchdowns makes a big difference every game, as we'll see as we go on. Week 2, Lions and Niners were at home, get outscored in the fourth, 14-3. So we're actually in the lead going into the fourth quarter against the Lions, but We managed to still pull out the win, but boy, that's close. Nice little sellout for 49ers faithful. But that's some of what we're talking about here is just that confidence in the fourth quarter and being able to hold them off. Whether or not much of that was garbage time, still a little too close for comfort when you're only managing to stay ahead of them by 3 points by the end of the game. 3-3 for field goals TDs for that week. So moving on to week 3, Niners and Chiefs. We're visiting the Chiefs. We get beat 38-27. The Chiefs are 3-0 at this point, and we're falling to 1-2. Managed to get a field goal in the fourth. They did get one as well, but can't keep up with them in the first part of the game. So we're just playing catch up by that point. It's 35-10 as we go into the second half. Not bad, though, when you consider we managed to get 2 touchdowns. Started to get a bit closer, but still a pretty insurmountable lead by that point. 2 field goals in that game, 3 touchdowns. Week 4, Chargers win 29-27. We're playing at their stadium. They finished that week 2-2. We finished 1-3. Managed to get a field goal in the fourth. 2 field goals, 3 touchdowns that week. And, starting to track again towards not making the playoffs. Week 5, Cardinals. Cardinals scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth. We only managed to score 12. So they basically were ahead going into the fourth quarter, but we can't make up that difference and still get outscored in the fourth quarter. Both teams 1-4. So neither team doing particularly well, but still can't beat those teams that are kind of in our class in terms of record. Week 6, we go play at the Packers. They managed to keep the win, 33-30. Big part of the problem is obviously, again, you can see here, we are up 27-13. Boy, that box score doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Let's go back to our box score for the Green Bay Packers game. Yeah, there's got to be a problem with how that was reported because that doesn't total up to 33. But that is the right total for the game, so we definitely lost that one. I can actually bring that up really quickly. Let's do that. That seems curious. That's where the problem lies. This should be 17. That makes a lot more sense. So, you can see that we're staying with them, actually get a little bit of ahead. We're 24-20 going into the second half, and then they get 10 in the fourth, and we end up losing that one. They end up 3-2 with a tie, and we're 1-5 by this point. So still not great, still having those problems. Fourth quarter always seems to be that point where we're barely trying to hang on with our fingertips. Week 7, Rams come visit the Niners. They score again in the fourth quarter, score 7 on us. Not much point in complaining about that one, though, because we had our doors blown off in the second and third. Total score was 39-10 Rams. Obviously, the Rams had a great team this year, because you can see they're 7-0 at this point, and we're 1-6. So somewhat to be expected, but only able to score 1 field goal, 1 touchdown. Week 8, Niners-Cardinals. Cardinals win 18-15. They score 15 in the fourth quarter. That fourth quarter is just a killer in these losing seasons. You can see we had, it looks like a safety, then a field goal, then a touchdown, and then could only muster a field goal in the fourth quarter, and they managed to score 15. And that was, a tough week. And again, our red zone or our third down conversion is 5 of 14. So we're only converting through most of the season 3 out of 10. So 30%-ish in that area for our third down conversions. So obviously lots of points where we're punting. Week 8, Niners and Cardinals. We just did that one, so we'll just quickly hop down to week 9, and then we'll scroll all the way down. So we actually blew the Raiders' doors off, and that was a good one. They fell to 1-7, and we were 2-7 at that point, but managed to score some good points in that second and third quarter. 2 field goals, 4 touchdowns. We'll move on to week 10. Giants get outscored in the fourth again. They win the game. We fall to 2-8. Giants are 2-7, and that particular basically 20-20 going into the fourth, and we can't hold them off. Week 11's the bye. Week 12, outscored in the fourth again. Fall to the Bucks. Bucks are 4-7. We fall to 2-9, and they get that touchdown in the fourth quarter. Although you can see it was 3 field goals, no touchdowns for us. So in that particular one, we were 1 third down conversion out of 8. So that's a really rough percentage. Going down to week 13 against the Seahawks. Seahawks obviously having a pretty decent season. They were 6-5 by this point. Go to 7-5. We fall to 2-10, and they blow our doors off 43-16. Get outscored 16-6 in the fourth quarter. Third quarter, pretty heavily outscored as well. So didn't have too much of a chance going into the fourth there, but they kept scoring, and we couldn't convert any of those field goals into touchdowns. Week 14, playing the Broncos. They come visit us. By the start of the third quarter, we're up 20-0, and we managed to not score anything in the second half of the game. They managed to get 2 touchdowns, and by the point the fourth quarter starting, depending on how quickly they had scored that touchdown, it's starting to get a little dicey in that fourth quarter. Are we going to be able to hold them off? All they needed was 1 touchdown, and they would have won 21-20. So they were 6-7 at that point, and we were 3-10. So not a bad win, but then you look at these box scores and you think to yourself, just struggling in that second half of the game. 2-2 on field goals, touchdowns. Hopping over to week 15, Seahawks come visit us. We get outscored again in the fourth. We managed to keep them at bay and win 26-23, but that was entirely because they tied it up in the fourth quarter, as you can see here, and then we had to go to overtime and kick a field goal to win it. So the Hawks were 8-6, and we go up to 4-10. We had 4 field goals and 2 touchdowns. So really relying on those field goals. And in that Seahawks game, we were 3 third down conversions for 10 attempts. So still in that 30 percentile. Can't get above that 30 percentile for our third down conversions. And then week 16, hopping down, Bears come visit. We lose that one. They get 2 touchdowns. We score 3 field goals. We fall to 4-11. Bears actually having a pretty good season. That's a pretty even score considering they were 11-4 by this point. But whether or not they were already in the playoffs and playing some of their second team just to rest everybody up and prep for the playoffs is arguable there. Pretty close to a sellout, so lots of fans still coming. Week 17, we visit the Rams and pretty much get the doors blown off. We managed to actually score 15 points in the fourth quarter, which is a bit better than what we're used to. Still, our third down conversion was 3 third downs converted out of 11. Managed to get a fourth down conversion as well, 1-1, so that was pretty good, but that also could have been late in the game, trying to tie that up. Rams were having a great season, probably not playing all their starters. They were 12-3 going into that game. We were 3-12 going into that game, and couldn't pull out any type of win there, even though we managed to, get one of our bigger scores for the season. So 1 field goal. Looks like that actually should be 2 field goals. Let's have a quick look here. No, it was only 1 field goal. That looks a little weird, and 3 TDs. Let me just change that one. So another rough season in 2018 for a total point differential of, you can see 38 in the first, 7 in Q2. So by the end of that, by the time that third quarter starts, we're down in most games, and then we just cannot do anything in that fourth quarter. A minus 56 point differential. It's almost 50% if you look at that, it's a very close. We managed to score 60 in the fourth, but they scored 56 more than us in the fourth for a total point differential for the season of 93. So 10 total games where we were unable to outscore them in the fourth quarter, which, as we saw, led to a number of different losses that would have been a lot better. And then let us just have a quick look. So in terms of our red zone scoring percentage for touchdowns for that year, we were 32nd in the league and dead last. Our red zone percent was 41.18. So 4 out of 10 times we got into the red zone, we were able to score. Next lowest was Jacksonville at 44, the Jets at 44, and the Giants at 50, and Houston at 50. And then it goes up from there. Our home red zone conversion for touchdowns was 42%, and our away was 40%. And the top teams in the league for that year were Pittsburgh at 73.4, Kansas City at 73.0, Cincinnati at 71, New Orleans 68, and Indianapolis 67. And very interesting, Pittsburgh as the top team at 73.4 had 80% touchdown conversion once they got into the red zone. So that's 8 out of 10, and we are 4 out of 10. So really, really rough, and that kind of backs up the theory that not only are we struggling in the fourth quarter, but anytime we get into that red zone, we're not able to score those points that we need and walk away with a field goal, which leads to a very different record by the end of the year. So next video will be 2019, and we'll follow the same format for that one. And I do apologize, these are going a bit longer than I had hoped. I wanted to keep them under 10 minutes, but you can see that if I've got to do 8 of these seasons, it's going to be way too long of a video to sit down and do it one time. So hope you're enjoying them, and we'll see you in 2019 season.